What's up, guys? This is Kephas. Welcome back, everyone, to WoW Leveling Wednesdays. We are continuing leveling our Paladin here and blowing through some more levels. Happy to be here, you guys. And yeah, so last time we talked about basically where I've been, what's been going on. I gave some thoughts about current state of WoW and what I'm doing with the game. Mostly playing TBC, Classic. It's been a lot of fun. Dabbling in the retail a little bit here and there. But I thought I would just kind of like dive more into like my thoughts, about retail, just about the game in general. It's been interesting, man. It's been an interesting few months. I think one of the first things like I said, last time I was explaining, like, I took a break from the game kind of around the holidays, left on a high note, and came back. And like I said, there was a lot of negativity surrounding the game, a lot of just people's. It seemed like maybe the people's opinions on the game had soured just a bit. And one of the things I really noticed was the change. Like, a lot of WoW content creators were changing things up a lot. I saw a lot of new types of content from a lot of YouTube channels and streamers. Some were playing different games. Some were talking about different games. I've noticed a lot of WoW content creators are talking more about Final Fantasy XIV, which is understandable. It's a very good game. I've played it quite a lot myself. Kind of really want to get into it again now, but I'm really into TBC right now, so I'm just kind of like trying to focus on that. It's hard to do two MMOs at once, that's for sure, especially when you're trying to level up in both. Yeah, it's been interesting, and I've also noticed, like, frankly, for a lot of content creators, because I was really curious about this, viewership is down for a lot of creators that make WoW content. So all that kind of just made me curious, and so I started to play a little bit more. I was interested in because like when I left, I really liked the I liked doing the renown stuff. I liked working on that every week. And I like doing the mall stuff. I thought the mall was a cool idea. But, excuse me, I had to swallow. But, when I came back and I was playing it more, like, basically the mall, like, as fun as it is and as cool as it is, and this also applies to Torghast, I think they're really cool content ideas. But I don't feel like there's a lot of obviously I think they could be better. I think that they're I think that they're a little bit half-baked, to be honest. I think that, like, the mall, the area could be better in general. And then Torghast, like, I think Torghast is pretty cool, though I don't know how I feel about the, like, all the ability, like, sometimes the power-ups are like, like, they're okay. But in general, it's a cool idea. It's fun to do. But, like, I don't really feel like there's incentive to actually do it, if that makes, like, there's not a good enough reward for me to take the time to do it, and so, like, a lot of times I just don't want to do it, because when you're doing repetitive content like that, there has to be something enticing. At least for me, there does. And so if I'm going to be doing Torghast every week, especially if I'm going to try doing it on multiple characters, which I don't want to do at all, there's got to be a decent enough reward there, and there just isn't to me. Soul Ash, I'm sorry, I don't care really, and that's kind of like how I feel about it. And then so like I said, like I feel like if you're not a Mythic Raider or a Mythic Plus Dungeon runner, or whatever, I don't feel like, maybe, I don't know. I mean, maybe there are people that are. I feel like the game's there to serve mostly people that fit those categories. And maybe that's fine. Maybe that's what they want the game to revolve around. But for people like me that like to just hang out in the world, play the game casually, like, at least for me, I don't feel like there's a lot there for me. Which is unfortunate, because I kind of like the zones. I enjoyed doing the leveling. I thought the leveling was really good. At least, like I said, I did it the first time. I did the Threads of Fate on a warrior, and it was cool. It was kind of slow. I felt like it just was, I don't know. I feel like that could also be better. But, it's still cool. It's a cool idea. There's a lot of cool ideas with Shadowlands. I don't think that it's as bad as BFA by any means, but I definitely think that you know, I think that there's just something to the formula with how WoW does their expansions and adding new systems and then having those systems become meaningless with the next expansion and all that kind of stuff. And that's actually where a lot of the comparisons to Final Fantasy XIV come in, because I feel like Final Fantasy XIV does a good job with how they do their expansions and how they add more and more to the game. Similar to how, like, if you've ever played Path of Exile, which isn't an MMO, it's an ARPG, but I like how that game does expansions as well, where it just adds more and more and more to the game, more that can help your character, help you build out your character, and help your character grow. I feel like that's a better way to do it than just, here's a new convoluted system, and in a year or two, that will no longer matter at all. And so when you level through that in the future, it won't mean anything. And that's like, oh man, that's unfortunate. You know, so like I think that's, and I think that's why I like classic, because like if there's one thing that, like, it's kind of funny, like if there's one thing that I feel like in retail still exists that really doesn't need to, ironically, it's what I'm doing here. It's leveling. I like leveling, and I feel like that there's, I don't know, there's still some fun to be had with leveling. But at the same time, it's like it especially like playing TBC, playing classic, like, you know, part of the reason why I'm doing a retail leveling series for this type of content is because it's a lot easier. I can completely disengage. Now, it is a little bit more challenging now than it was with the scaling. But like in classic, like with leveling, you know, there's like you know, quests will take you all over the place. You have to travel around. Like I'll go to a zone, like say like in my 30s, you know, I'll start off in Hillsbrad, you know, finish up some stuff there. I'll go to Arathi, do a couple quests there. Then I'll move on over to Stranglethorn, do a few quests in Stranglethorn, and then I might go back to Arathi, you know, finish up some things there. And then, like, later on, after I've gone to, like, 2 other zones, like, maybe I'll go to, early on, I'll go to Thousand Needles, and then I'll go back to Stranglethorn again. And some people may not like that because it's a lot of traveling. And if there's one thing the scaling does, is it cuts down on travel time and allows you to kind of pick where you want to go. That freedom is nice, but it also kind of makes it not matter as much. So, like, for me, at first, like, I was like, oh, this is cool. I can take a Death Knight and go to Elwyn Forest and level there. That's kind of funny, which is cool. And it makes leveling very convenient. But it's also like, all right, I'm just going to go to the fastest zones. Like, if I'm Alliance, I'm going to definitely go to Loch Modan, because Loch Modan is like one of the best leveling places. It's by far one of the best Alliance leveling places. It's so fast. And just, that's it, you know. So, but in Classic, like, one of the things that makes Classic more fun for me is I'm not focused on racing, and I'm not focused on efficiency and min-maxing and all that stuff, and I really don't do that with retail either. So I kind of play the game at a more, you know, slower pace. Obviously, that's one good thing about what's happening in my life right now, is it makes me pace myself. It makes me just kind of play the game chill, and it's actually been good for my gaming experience, to be honest, because it like, I can enjoy the game without, you know, just going hard at it and, like, just, you know, min-maxing all the fun out of it, which is a problem that a lot of people have. I feel like that's a problem that people might have with retail as well. I feel like a lot of times, because, like, I feel like one of the mistakes that, like, maybe Blizzard makes is that they cater to that way of playing, because maybe they just think, oh, well, heck with it. People are going to do it anyway, so, like, it's like talent trees. Like, I really like the old school talent trees. I remember a time where I thought the newer talent trees were better, and now I don't. I like the old trees. I like getting a new point every level. And I remember one of my arguments for why I thought the old trees were outdated and the new trees would be better is, well, people just pick the same builds anyways. And it's like, yeah, I mean, I guess that's, I mean, people often will. There might be some variation in there, actually, but it's nice to get something every level that I'm like, there's a minor increase or an occasional new ability. And same with spell ranks. There's something to all that stuff that keeps me engaged, that keeps me looking forward to the next level and wanting to keep playing and going around the world. Like, okay, now I'm gonna go back. Okay, I've done all the quests here. All the quests that are left in Stranglethorn are like higher level, so I need to go somewhere else for a while. I like that. I like the game kind of having some rules, and it's funny because like I feel like even though retail has a lot more freedom in terms of like leveling, I also feel like the game overall kind of like it's very like you're gonna play it this way, whereas in like I don't know, it's weird. Like I feel like Classic is a lot more like it's a lot more rigid. It's obviously a lot more rough around the edges in a lot of ways, but I weirdly feel like there's more freedom, even in leveling. Like it's really weird. I don't know how to explain it, and I'm also like I'm way more engaged. You know, like when in retail, and I'm not trying to dump on retail. People, like, if you don't value these sorts of things, and it may not matter to you, but I do, so obviously it matters to me. You know, like in retail, I can go to a group of enemies and just start mowing them down and not really think about it. In Classic, I have to think about where I'm at, where enemies might respawn. If I go into a cave, it might get hairy after a little bit, and so I have to kind of, you know, circle back some, plan ahead, try to make sure I have enough health potions or mana potions, or, you know, drinks, that kind of stuff, to make sure that I can continue to fight. Stuff like that I feel like is very interesting. It keeps me engaged more. Even like though like sometimes like a lot of people like I think it's better in TBC than it was in Classic. I feel like Classic was pretty bare bones with class design. I feel like it gets a little bit better in TBC. I'm playing a Paladin, and like I actually like it a lot. I like, for one, I'm looking forward to getting a little bit more, you know, a few more abilities. Like obviously, like I look forward to like getting Crusader Strike, you know, Hammer of Wrath, Exorcism, Consecration, you know, and as I get those new abilities, it gets better and better. But what's interesting is like all the abilities in Classic as a Paladin, they all kind of do something different. And for one, you have seals, which I think is interesting. You've got auras, you've got buffs that you have to keep buffing yourself. And again, these are all things that I thought the game was better off without. But now that I'm playing against, it's actually kind of nice. One of the things I think is neat is, as a Paladin, like, I'll get new abilities, and each of them do something different. They all have, like, a caveat to them. Like, Consecration is an AoE ability. It takes up a lot of your mana. Use it if you can, especially if you're fighting multiple enemies. Maybe it's not worth it, though, to use it all the time. Of course, I can use Seal of Wisdom to keep up my mana, but then I lose a little bit on damage, so I have to weigh that, you know, weigh that decision, you know, getting a new aura, and then, of course, switching seals around based on the situation, or just like using one seal to use Judgment, switching to a different seal. You know, like, I feel like that's really interesting. Getting Exorcism, and like, you know, I can't use it all the time, but when I'm fighting undead enemies, I can use it. That's exciting. Oh, I'm fighting undead enemies in this zone. Cool. I'll be able to use Exorcism now. You know, looking forward to getting Crusader Strike. There's just a lot there. Whereas in retail, like, you know, Paladin, like, it's like a lot of classes in retail, they're built around the same mechanic. Build a resource, spend the resource. Whether that resource is a form of combo point, which is basically what Holy Power is, it's combo points. Or it's a resource like Fury or Rage or Maelstrom, something like that, and so you build and spend and build and spend. Insanity, same thing. And that might be more engaging than mana in a lot of ways. But, like, when I'm a Paladin, like, in retail, I have a lot more abilities. But those abilities all kind of do the same thing. They deal damage, and they all have a little bit different cooldown. And then most of them build Holy Power, and then a couple of them spend Holy Power. You know what I mean? Like, so, but it's not a whole lot different. It's different, but it's not a completely different than playing a Rogue, who also has combo points. It's very similar. You know, whereas in Classic, I mean, there's a lot, like, there isn't as much, but it all does something different. And then I have, like, all these other abilities. I've got Lay on Hands, and there are times where I'm like, cool, I can, if I'm really in danger, I can use Lay on Hands, or, hey, if the graveyard's nearby, maybe I'll just take the death and then use Lay on Hands when I'm in a much further out situation, or a much more hairy situation. You know, I can, those are decisions that I can weigh in, and I feel like all of that stuff kind of, you know, it helps the game feel more interesting for leveling, and since leveling is something that I truly enjoy doing, I feel like for me, right now, Classic is the clear winner by a lot, and so that's right now where my interests are. And again, there are people that there are people that feel the exact opposite. They'll play TBC and be like, man, this makes me really appreciate retail more. It's a lot better. It's a lot more streamlined. It's a lot less rough around the edges, and that's true. There are, and like I said, I think that if you're a mythic raider, or like you're into the end game content, the raiding and the mythics or whatever, you probably prefer retail. I think that probably would be the better game for you, maybe. But if you're more like someone like me, I like leveling. I like the Zen experience of Classic more. I like the old style designs. I like the old style talent trees. There are a lot of people like me out there, and so I genuinely feel like the Classic version of the game is better, and I feel like I'll feel that way up through Wrath. I might even enjoy playing Myths again, but I don't at least for now. I don't think Shadowlands is for me. I don't. I'm in that camp of people that I don't think it's. I don't think that I'll stop playing it altogether. I think that there's some things there that I'll enjoy. I'll definitely come back to it. And like I said, I think I can certainly continue to level up characters and make guides for it. But in terms of playing it every day, I'm probably not going to be doing that. I think I not only would I rather play Classic, I think there are other games in general that I'd just rather play. And so that's kind of where I'm at with it, to be honest. And that's, like I said, when I was first playing it and doing the leveling, I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the story for the most part. I'm interested to see where things go with that. But as a gaming experience, it's just not it's not getting me, man. So like I would love to hear, as always, I'm always open to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions in the comments. Like, by all means, let me know what you think about Shadowlands. Are you playing Shadowlands? Are you playing TBC? And let me know what your thoughts are. But I'd love to hear about that in the comments below, and maybe we can get some different ideas out there. But otherwise, thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. Hope you enjoyed my very candid opinion about the game and where I'm at with it. Otherwise, I will see you guys on the next one. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, let me know by clicking that like button. And feel free to share it with your friends so they can enjoy it as well. And if you'd like to see more videos, you can subscribe to the channel and click on the bell icon to be notified as soon as new videos are posted. You can also follow me on Facebook, and if you'd like, you can support my work on Patreon. Links to all that stuff can be found in the description below. This is Kephas. Until next time.